The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, 2001. When New Line Cinema approved Peter Jackson's vision to adapt J.R.R. Tolkien's fantasy epic, the project was considered one of the biggest gambles in film history. No studio had ever attempted to shoot three massive fantasy films back-to-back, and skepticism surrounded whether Middle-earth could be convincingly brought to life on screen. Jackson and his team spent years in pre-production, designing languages, cultures, weapons, and entire civilizations to ensure the world felt ancient and lived in. Casting was critical. Elijah Wood was chosen as Frodo Baggins for his emotional vulnerability, while Ian McKellen's portrayal of Gandalf became the spiritual anchor of the trilogy. Viggo Mortensen joined the production late as Aragorn, replacing Stuart Townsend, and quickly redefined the role with physical intensity, famously breaking 2 toes during a fight scene and continuing to act through the pain. Sean Astin carried real glass shards in his foot during the river scene, a reminder of the physical toll that production demanded. The Fellowship's journey relied heavily on forced perspective techniques to depict hobbits and humans together, often requiring actors to perform separately and be composited later. Howard Shore's musical themes were carefully woven into the narrative, with the Fellowship theme designed to evolve as the group fractured. Upon release, The Fellowship of the Ring was both a critical and commercial triumph. It earned multiple Academy Awards and proved that Tolkien's world could be adapted with seriousness, emotional depth, and cinematic grandeur, setting the foundation for one of the most ambitious trilogies ever made. The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, 2002. The second installment deepened Middle-earth's scale and darkness. With the Fellowship broken, the story split into parallel narratives, pushing the filmmakers to maintain momentum while expanding the world. Motion capture technology reached a breakthrough with Gollum, portrayed by Andy Serkis in a performance that redefined digital characters. Serkis acted on set with the cast, his movements and expressions later translated into the fully CGI creature. The Battle of Helm's Deep became the film's technical centerpiece. Filmed over several months in harsh nighttime conditions, the sequence combined massive miniature sets, real stunt performers, and thousands of digitally generated Uruk-hai created using the newly developed massive software. This allowed each digital soldier to move independently, creating unprecedented realism in large-scale battle scenes. Character arcs grew more complex. Aragorn embraced his destiny as a leader, while Frodo and Sam's journey tested loyalty and trust. Treebeard and the Ents were realized through a mix of scale models, motion capture, and voice performance, blending fantasy with physical weight. The Two Towers was praised for raising the emotional and technical stakes of the trilogy. It demonstrated that the project was not a one-film success, but a fully realized epic capable of evolving in tone and scope. The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, 2003. The final chapter was designed as both a cinematic climax and an emotional resolution to a story told over 3 films. The scale of production reached its peak, with multiple battle sequences unfolding across different locations in Middle-earth. The Siege of Minas Tirith featured tens of thousands of digital combatants, layered with practical performances and large-scale miniatures known as bigatures. The performances carried immense emotional weight. Sean Astin's portrayal of Samwise Gamgee became the heart of the film, while Elijah Wood conveyed Frodo's physical and psychological exhaustion. Andy Serkis continued to blur the line between animation and acting as Gollum's internal conflict reached its tragic conclusion. The film's multiple endings were carefully structured to provide closure for each character, honoring Tolkien's themes of sacrifice, loss, and healing. Viggo Mortensen's coronation as Aragorn was filmed in secrecy, preserving its impact for audiences. The Return of the King swept the Academy Awards, winning all 11 Oscars it was nominated for, including Best Picture. It marked the completion of one of the most ambitious and successful storytelling achievements in cinema history. The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey, 2001-2. Nearly a decade after The Lord of the Rings concluded, Peter Jackson returned to Middle-earth to adapt The Hobbit. Originally planned as a two-film project, the story eventually expanded into a trilogy. Martin Freeman was cast as Bilbo Baggins, bringing a nervous charm and emotional grounding to the role. The production introduced groundbreaking high frame rate filming at 48 frames per second, doubling the traditional standard and creating a hyper-real visual clarity that divided audiences. Andy Serkis returned as Gollum, whose riddle scene with Bilbo was one of the few sequences filmed early, anchoring the film emotionally. The dwarves were differentiated through distinct costumes, prosthetics, and fighting styles. Ian McKellen's return as Gandalf was marked by emotional challenges, including scenes filmed alone on green screen sets due to scale requirements. An unexpected journey reintroduced audiences to Middle-earth while expanding its mythology, setting the stage for a larger and more action-driven trilogy. The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug 2013. The second Hobbit film leaned heavily into spectacle and danger. Benedict Cumberbatch portrayed Smaug through performance capture, crawling across the studio floor while delivering dialogue to capture the dragon's physicality and menace. His voice performance became one of the trilogy's defining elements. The barrel escape sequence pushed technical boundaries. Blending practical water stunts with extensive CGI, Legolas was given an expanded role, connecting the Hobbit trilogy more closely to the Lord of the Rings timeline. Smaug's lair was realized as a fully digital environment, layered with real lighting references and interactive effects, allowing the dragon to feel massive, intelligent, and terrifying. The Desolation of Smaug was praised for its visuals and performances, even as debates continued about the trilogy's expanded narrative. The Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies 2014. The final Hobbit film focused almost entirely on large-scale conflict. The title battle involved dwarves, elves, men, orcs, and eagles, all brought together through a mix of motion capture, digital armies, and practical performances. The filmmakers relied heavily on CGI, pushing the limits of what digital warfare could depict. Character arcs were brought to a close, particularly Thorin Oakenshields' descent into and redemption from dragon sickness. Martin Freeman's Bilbo remained the emotional lens through which the chaos was viewed, grounding the spectacle in personal stakes. The film served as a bridge between The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, closing narrative threads while reinforcing the themes of greed, courage, and sacrifice. The Battle of the Five Armies concluded Peter Jackson's Middle-earth saga, ending a cinematic journey that spanned over a decade and redefined the modern fantasy genre.
No, thank you. We don't want